Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today's video is going to be my January book reviews. It's very late, but I have spoken about all these books on the channel, so I'm sure you will forgive me. I know some of you like mini reviews, so this is what this is. Summarised mini reviews of what I've been reading throughout this month. First up, can I just say, I have a massive scratch on my hand, so if you're thinking, what are these two lines? A random cat scratched me. My boyfriend was there, he witnessed the assault. I was walking up this road, this cat was walking towards us, started stroking it, lovely cat. It jumped on the wall, oh my god, it wants more strokes. I'm stroking away, and then all of a sudden it just swiped me and like cut my hand open, and then looked at me like, carry on stroking me. It was the weirdest experience of my life. I was maimed, I was attacked by a cat. So yeah, there you go. There's the evidence. Anyway, straight into the book reviews, stopping the chatting. I first up read The Mothers by Brit Bennett. This is about a 17-year-old girl called Nadia. Now Nadia's mum has recently committed suicide, and Nadia is now in the care of her dad, and her dad is nice, he's well-meaning, but he doesn't show any kind of emotion to her. She then starts dating loads of different boys because she just wants to feel loved. So she starts sleeping with different boys and getting a bit of a wild reputation, but it's because she wants someone to love and care for her. She then dates the pastor's son, but there's an age difference. So he says, let's keep it on the down low, because I think he's 21, she's 17. So he's like, let's not tell anyone about this. She then gets pregnant, and then she has an abortion. And the book really follows on from there. So at the beginning you find out about the abortion and everything, and then it follows on about what happened after that. What happened to her life, what happened to Luke's life, that's the boy who's the pastor's son, who he actually had an injury and he wanted to like go on and be big in sport, but he can't because of his injury, so it goes into that. She also starts a friendship with a girl within the book, which I absolutely loved their friendship, and it deals with so many different topics, because obviously it's got suicide and then it's got someone having an abortion within it as well. It deals with so many different things, but it deals with them so well. Also, one thing that I thought worked so well, so at the beginning of each chapter it's the older women from the congregation at the church talking about Nadia. Nadia's a wild one, or what do you think about Nadia? Or I've heard this about her, and it's about the gossip of that kind of like church culture. And also they start talking about their own lives as well, and I just really loved that element within it. Adored this book. It broke my heart. I honestly was savouring it. I was reading it slowly because I just didn't want it to be over. Brit Bennett's writing is absolutely stunning. Loved the whole book. Thought it had so much heart to it. So gorgeous. Absolutely adored this book. Cannot recommend it enough. And when I hauled it in a book haul, everyone said, oh my god, I've seen that on BookTube. Loads of people on BookTube like it. And I thought, ugh, I'm gonna hate it, because when anyone says it's hyped on BookTube, I just think of Slammed by Colleen Hoover, ugh, The Duff, ugh. I think of those repulsive books where it's the girl, everyone's being abusive to her and she has to just try and like muddle along with it. It wasn't like that at all. Like, so don't be put off by that. That's so spiteful. Don't be put off that BookTube loves it. But sometimes, you know, there's like popular YA, it's not like that at all. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Cannot recommend this book enough. Next up, I have The Hunchback of Notre Dame. First up, can I just say, I'm sorry if the sun is going in and out, like I can't control the skies. I wish I could. We all know I think I'm God. But anyway, this is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. I run a book club on this channel called Tay Book Club. And it's where it's basically so simple. I just hold up a book at the beginning of the month and say, let's read it, and before the month, send me your book reviews. And then I'll read them out in my review video, and I can discuss your reviews as well. So I chose this book, and God only knows why. It's over 500 pages of French literature, came out in the 1800s, although this book is set in the 1400s. Why would I choose such a difficult book to read in a month? We'll never know, but I chose this. It was very difficult. The thing about this is I thought it was going to be about Esmeralda and Quasimodo and everything. It's not to do with them. Victor Hugo wrote this because he wanted to talk about Parisian architecture. That is what the whole book is about, Parisian architecture and his opinions on it. So just know that going into it. There's a sub-story with Esmeralda and Quasimodo, and when it gets to those bits, stunning, like breathtakingly good. Esmeralda's backstory, don't. When you find out where that girl came from, don't. Like, so good. All the bits to do with French architecture got a bit much. Like, I got the point of it, I got what he was saying about it, but then he just kept saying it and it just got a little bit too much for me. But I did enjoy it. This is a project. This is the kind of book, and I don't mean this in a spiteful way, but it's gonna sound spiteful. I'm glad I read, but I will never read again. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I'll never have to again. I enjoyed it. It was a project. If you're looking for like a project read, then read it. Go for it. It was good. I just want to say that my book club book this month, if you didn't see my announcement video, is A Passage to India. So all you have to do is buy this book, read it before the end of February. Throughout February, if you want to talk to me about your reading progress of this, then message me. Instagram's probably the best place, or in the comments down below here. You can talk about it, and then before the end of the month, send me your reviews when you've read it, and I will read them out in my review video. I'm really excited for this. I'm actually overwhelmed by how many people are going to read this with me. I thought not many people would. I thought people were like, oh no, not that interested in it. There's so many people interested in reading this, so I'm very, very excited. I then have one more thing to talk about. Sorry, I'm chatting on, but I have one more thing, and this is like an honorary mention. This isn't a book, but it's based on an author's life, and it's a film that's just come out, and it's called Colette, is what the film is called. Keira Knightley is the main character in it. Just going to give you the basis of the film. So Colette was a famous French author, but what happened is she was like a simple country girl. She then met this man from Paris who he was a well-known author, but he didn't actually write any of the books that had his name on it. So he used to get people to write stories for him, he would pay them for the stories, and then he would publish those stories with his name on it. So everyone thought he was this great author, and he actually wasn't. So then he then met Colette, and they got married and everything was going well, and then they started running out of money. And he said, like, no one's writing good stories anymore for me, and he couldn't write stories himself. So he said to her, can you just try and write something? Just try. So she says fine. So she wrote this story which was called Claudine in School, and it was all about her school life and very much based on her life, but she ad-libbed. There was characters, it was an exciting series. So she wrote that, and he eventually said, oh, that's really good, we should publish it. He made a few changes, but not really many changes at all, and they published the book under his name. This then went on to be a series. It was like Claudine's Adventures, Claudine Down the Sea, I think there's one called Claudine in Paris. It became a massive book series in Paris, and now it's like a massive series in the world. People still read it to this day, but it was all under his name. So eventually she said, well, can I have my name published on like the next book? And he said no, and they got divorced. And then after they got divorced, she went on to be an actress, and she brought out loads of books in her own name that did really well. And her life is just absolutely fascinating. Also, she had a lot of relationships with women at the time, and the film goes into that as well. She was just like a really bizarre woman for the time, like the time that she was living in. She just didn't really conform to that at all. She was just herself, and she couldn't help but be herself, and that's what I loved about the film, is it just said like this was just her. She was just unapologetically herself all the time. Really lovely. Absolutely adored the film. It was so good. It was sad at times. It was sad how he took credit for her work for so long. Within her own lifetime, she did actually win the rights of the Claudine books, because she had handwritten out all the Claudine books, and then obviously he'd written them in his handwriting and got them published, but he gave her original handwritten books to someone to burn, to destroy, and that person realised that he didn't actually write these books, and he'd said like, I wrote everything, if you look in the margins it's filled with my notes, without my input it would have been nothing. And this person realised there was nothing in the margins. He had barely added anything to these books, and so he decided he was just going to send the books to Colette. So Colette got the books, and then she used them in court to say they're my books, I wrote them, not him, and she got her name on the books, which I think is just such a lovely ending that she got that within her own life, because a lot of historical women, when they like try and fight for things, it doesn't happen within their own lifetime, but for her it did. I just think she had such an interesting life. She was just so like vibrant and full of life, and then she'd been so like stifled by her husband, who he very much played down her books. So he said, oh, these books aren't very good, and then published them in his own name, and was very like spiteful within that way to keep her down. Such a great film. I cannot recommend it enough. It's called Colette. So good. It's called Colette. It's a great film. You have to go and see it. I absolutely adored it. I thought Keira Knightley was really good. I thought everyone was really good in it. I thought it was so interesting, this woman's life. And then at the end of the film, it had facts of her actual life. And the things in the film that I was like, oh, that's a bit of Hollywood glam. That's not real. They were real. I actually couldn't believe it that she went on to be like this actress and did all these like wild things. I had no idea, but they were real. So that was a great film. This is the end of the video. I'll stop now. So I would recommend The Mothers, Hunchback of Notre Dame if you're fancying a project. Read A Passage to India with me this month. Go and see Colette. If you see Colette, message me and tell me what you thought about it. And I will see you again soon for another video. I hope you have a great week ahead of you, and I will see you very soon.